Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we have today is something that I'm pretty excited about. We have Mongul from the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse collection, and I got this actually off of Big Bad Toy Store's 4th of July sale. It just came in this past weekend, but when it was on sale at Big Bad Toy Store, he was $20. So for the price of a standard McFarlane Multiverse figure, I got the Mega Fig that is Mongul, Tyrant of the Universe. I have always really liked Mongul. I wish they would use him more and not just for Superman, because to me, Mongul is kind of like the down and dirty version of Darkseid. Like when they want to use Darkseid, but they don't want him to be quite so powerful, or they want somebody that'll like get down and dirty into like a slugfest with the heroes instead of just relying on his Omega beams and always standing there with like his arms crossed behind his back. I just really love the level of like visceralness and brutality Mongul brings to storytelling. And I know that makes me sound a little psycho, but I really like when Soups has to mix it up with him. He was the villain of one of my favorite episodes of Justice League Unlimited, which of course was based off of a Superman comic for the Man Who Has Everything. If you've seen that episode or if you've read that comic, it is a great storyline. He's the main villain. He's the centerpiece around like why everything is falling apart. Like, it's just a fantastic story. And now I have him in all of his glorious plastic form. So what we have here is our standard McFarlane fare for the Mega Fig, with this big window dominating the front of the box. We have the DC Multiverse banner across the bottom, his name. Up top, we have more window. On the side, we have more window. Over here, Mongul. I love how it just says Superman, villains. And then we have a great shot of the Madman here on back. Not one of his more iconic images, but I do like this. This is a good picture. This is a good image of him. And more than likely, we know it's going to be the same image that is on the trading card inside. So, without further ado, let's just open this up and let's get a look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Mongul. Here he is, Mongul, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is 9 3/4 inches tall to the top of his head. So like all the Mega figures that McFarlane Toys puts out, Mongul is a big boy, and it's hard to get him on camera this close, because right here he is standing up, and it's hard to get him lower without bending him to get the face on camera. But I really love this face sculpt. Now that we have him down here, I really love this face sculpt. This is just a madman. This is a monster right here. And like every time I see Mongul, that's just what I think, that he is a monster. And this just brings that so well to plastic form. I love these jagged, crooked teeth. I like the shadowing, the blackness around the eyes. I know there are some people that may not like this because this isn't exactly how he always looks, but man, I love this look for him. I just really like the face sculpt on this. And then you have his arms right here. Look at the guns, man. Look at the veins bulging out in the arms and in the skin, just giving him this gnarly, ripped look to him. The rest of the body really isn't much to speak of. It's all very smooth because of the uniform that he wears, the costume that he wears. But that's really nothing that, like, let's turn him this way. That's really nothing like the sculptor's fault or what McFarlane could do. That's pretty much the costume. The only other thing I could think that they could have done was maybe put some, like, veins popping through the leggings right here. Like, give him this kind of work, like, down on his thighs to just show them, like, bulging through his pants right there. I don't know. I really like his boots as well. They're very simple, they're very smooth, but there's just something about this contrasting with all of this that I really like. Like if you notice, like a lot of the body, there's a lot of contrast here with like his skin, his natural form, and all this gnarliness, and then just like the smoothness of the leggings and his boots. As far as the coloring goes, the only thing I really have an issue with in the coloring is if you look at his ankle joints right here, the ball joints for his ankles are the same purple as his pants instead of being painted silver. And even when he's sort of standing in a neutral stance, that really stands out. I wish they would have painted these silver to match the rest of the boots. Other than that, I don't have an issue with a lot. I don't have a lot of issue at all with this figure. I really like how they sort of put this white dot in here to like, just like reflection or the energy building up, the glow from within. I really like that. His arm bracers right here, the deep cuts for the bracers, giving them this thickness, this bulkiness, and then the coloring too. This looks really good. I mean, they're just bracers on here, but look at how good these look. Look at how good the sculpt and the paint application is on these things. I think this is great. The rest of his armor up top with all of this, like, just metal, just like bolted to him. I really like this. On the back, we have this backpack right here. His little pack right here. The only thing that I don't like about this is that, like, this cable that comes down is very loose. It's just sort of hanging there and it moves around. I feel like they should have glued that in between, like, his shoulder wings right here. And I may do that myself, just get some Gorilla Glue and just glue that in there so that it doesn't come out and it just conforms to his back. The belt is very basic, but once again, that's just the figure. That's nothing against the sculpting. I shouldn't even say it's basic. Like, there's actually some really good details in here now that I look at it up close. Even across the back here, where, like, across the back, people can cheat if they want to. Down the side of the leggings, we have the texturing going on here. The only other thing that I wish they would have done, and this is a minor nitpick, is these pieces right here on his helmet. I wish they were a little bit bigger and then had sort of like this orange energy glow coming out of the helmet too. You'll see that whenever we look at the collector card that comes with it, that the helmet is bulked out a little bit more here. But I really like this. The coloring of his skin, I think, is good too. Look, you even have like this texturing, this rough texturing, and these veins popping out on his hands too, on his fist over here, and on his open hand. You even get some really good detail on his open hand here that I thought with that cut right there that maybe something was supposed to go into his hand, but I think that's just the sculpt. Like, doesn't it look like something should have, like, fit into that? But he doesn't have any accessories, which we'll talk about in a second, but I really like this. I really like this. Well worth $20. Now, the articulation is where he suffers a bit, so let's look at the articulation. At the head, we'll do a complete 360. Things get a little tight, especially turning it this way, like turning full to the side, because of this raised collar that he has right here. He doesn't have much as far as head tilt goes. He can't really look up, that's as far as it'll go. He can't really look down, that's as far as it'll go. So the head is very limited on what it can do. The arms, however, will do a complete 360. There is a butterfly joint in there, believe it or not. The arms will come up to 90. There's no bicep swivel, but what we do have is a single hinge elbow that, because of the bracer, will only come to there. But he does have a hinge and swivel at the elbow. Now, when his arms are down and locked into position, hold on, let me turn his hand here. When his arms are down and locked into position, he has this really weird, like, flared arm look. Like, you can tell that's where the arms are supposed to fall. That falls in line with the, actually that right there, and then that right there falls in line with the sculpt. So his arms coming down have this really flared, weird flared out look, but you can turn them in. You can turn them in so it has a more natural appearance, but it kind of breaks up the sculpt of the figure at that point. Let's get his arms up and out of the way. He has no ab cut in here. He just has this ball joint at the waist that will still allow him to do a complete 360. He can go back that far. He can go forward that far. And he has a little bit of rock side to side. Put your arms in the air like you just don't care. Okay. His legs, the chunky beefiness that are Mongul's legs. Let's just get the hip joint, the crotch joint, whatever you want to call it. There's not a whole lot of movement right there. His legs will come up to there, but if you turn, you can get a little bit more movement out of it. Also notice that the higher you bring his leg up, the more his torso just naturally bends to the side. They'll come up to just there, not even just under 90, maybe at about a 45. Stiff detents in the knees, but double jointed knees. You saw ankles rock back, ankles rock forward, ankles are a little stiff. Ankles have a forward-facing pin for some rocker, and some toe articulation. Almost forgot his wrist articulation here, that the wrists do spin, and they hinge in and out, but you can see that it has that standard hinge point right there, just like the collect-to-build figures do, just like the other mega figures do, that it only comes in and out. You won't be able to adjust it to get it to pivot up and down. And the other one, we have this open gripping hand here, is the same way, that it only comes in and out as well. Now, Mongul here doesn't come with any accessories, and truthfully, what accessories would you give him? He doesn't really have any signature weapons or anything like that. But I think one accessory that we could have given him, and I think it's kind of a missed opportunity, is I wish he would have come with the Black Mercy, that flower that he gave Superman in The Man Who Has Everything. It could have just been something small, a small piece of plastic that wraps around a character's torso, just like how we got those Starro pieces with the Crime Syndicate wave. I think that would have been really cool if we could have just had something like we could latch on to Superman's chest or another figure's chest and just make it look like the Black Mercy. I wish we would have had that with him. And like all McFarlane Multiverse figures, Mongul does come with his own collector's card. Once again, this is the image that was on the back of the box. And on the flip side, we have his bio. Go ahead, pause, and read. And of course, Mongul comes with his own figure stand with the DC logo stamped on the front. But really, why? I mean, you have the figure stand here. And then you have the big beefy boy. Where's the peg hole? You have the big beefy boy that is Mongul right there. How much work is that figure stand actually doing? Don't get me wrong, I'm glad we have it, though. And now for size comparison, the first thing I want to put him next to is Superman from Action Comics 1000. I still think this is the best version of Superman that we've received so far. As a matter of fact, I have the Hush Superman on pre-order, but the more I look at this one, the more I keep thinking, do I need him? But I just wanted to put these two next to each other. I feel like I need the Gladiator Superman now. I haven't picked that one up yet, but I feel like I need the Gladiator Superman, maybe the Gladiator Batman. Just basically get all of the Gladiator versions of these figures so that, like, Mongul can just throw them into the arena and have them battle it out. And it's also just occurred to me that I have a lot of McFarlane Mega figures, but I haven't really opened many of them except for Necron over here. So I have Man-Bat, I have the Frost Giant from the Witcher line, I have a few others, I have Bane, and I haven't opened any of them yet, except for Necron right here. So here he is beside McFarlane Multiverse Necron, and the collect-to-build figure of Atrocitus. Here he is beside McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn and Medieval Spawn. Here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Trooper and Heavy Artillery Roadblock. Here he is beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. And finally, here he is beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grim Sword. For as much as I like Mongul, it actually surprises me that I waited this long to get him, but at $20 on sale, I am really glad I waited, because this guy is definitely worth $20. To a lot, he's probably worth the $40 too that you normally spend for a Mega Fig, but at $20, I couldn't go wrong with this. I really like the sculpt of this guy. I really like the look, the coloring, the paint apps, everything about him. Everything just looks neat and clean. The only complaints I have, and they're very minor complaints, is that I wish the ball joints in the ankles were painted silver to match the rest of the boots, and I wish that hose running down his back was glued down between his shoulder muscles. But the gluing of that I can do myself. The ball joints, however, that purple really stands out even when he's standing in as close to a neutral pose as he can get. The arms are a little weird, are a little wonky, that when you have them set to where they're supposed to be, they sort of wing out to the side like that. But I really like the veins in his arms, giving him that pumped up, roided look. I really like the look of that. I really like that snarl and those gnarly teeth that he has. I think this looks great for Mongul. He looks like a monster. He is a monster. And like, you can really believe that this dude could beat down Soups in a one-on-one fist fight. It's fantastic. Having no accessories, I don't really have issue with that because a lot of times we don't get accessories with the mega figures. Sometimes we do, though, and I still think not putting the Black Mercy with him is a bit of a miss. I think that could have been a really fun accessory to put in with him, and I think a lot of collectors, especially if they're fans of the Superman comic, especially if they're fans of that story, would have gotten a kick out of that, would have known exactly what it was and why it was in there, and I think that could have been really cool to just like have that to put on Superman. In a few videos coming up, this is probably going to be a little bit of a break in the DC line because I got in some Joes this past weekend as well. So we're going to be taking a look at Rock and Roll, Torpedo, and Copperhead, 3 that I was really looking forward to. So until then, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.